Why do they call this a restroom? There is no bed here.
Ah, the restroom. A place for peace, quiet, and apparently a nap? Wait. Why do Americans call it a restroom when the only thing resting there is your dignity after a bad taco? While the rest of the world is honest enough to call it a toilet or a loo, the US has been running a linguistic con for over a century. And today, we're cracking the case. We're going back 5,000 years. Through ancient super sewers, sacred water rituals, exploding medieval windows, and a French pony to figure out why Americans are too shy to just say the word. Fair warning, this one's longer than your average bathroom break. Get comfortable, ironically. Ancient India, the Yogi plumbers. Meet the Indus Valley Civilization. While most of the ancient world was doing its business behind a rock and calling it a day, these people were living in the future, literally. Standardized bricks, underground drains running down every street. Many homes had dedicated toilet rooms connected to sophisticated brick drains and sewer systems. If you lived in Mohenjo-Daro, you had better plumbing than some apartments I've lived in. They understood a very basic rule 5,000 years before anyone else. Waste belongs away from the face. Revolutionary stuff. Few civilizations match this level of urban sanitation for thousands of years. Rome. Great sewers, terrible privacy. Speaking of Romans, let's give them their due, because their sewer system, the Cloaca Maxima, was genuinely one of the ancient world's engineering flexes. Underground channels, running water, the whole deal. But here's the twist. Roman public toilets had 0 stalls. You sat in a long row, holes side by side, chatting with strangers while doing your business.
So, how about those gladiators?
Toilets were basically a social hangout. Rome invented the sewer hound, the world's most awkward group chat, and instead of toilet paper, a sponge on a stick, rinsed in a bucket of vinegar water and shared communally. Yes, that's where the phrase, getting the short end of the stick may have come from, though historians will tell you that origin is more legend than fact. Either way, I'll take the Indus Valley setup, thanks. Now, it gets even weirder. Wait until you see what the Victorians were embarrassed to say. Now, fast forward to the Middle Ages. In Europe, in many medieval towns, waste often ended up in streets or was emptied from upper floors. If you heard someone yell "Gardeloo" from the French gardes l'eau, roughly watch out for the water, that wasn't a greeting. That was a warning to duck before you caught a face full of medieval surprise. East Asia. Toilet paper itself was invented in China as early as the 6th century and was in wide use by Chinese royalty by the 1300s. So while Europe was still tossing buckets out windows, China had already industrialized the toilet paper supply chain for the imperial court. And centuries later, Japan would take the other half of this story, the water half, and turn it into an art form. The modern washlet, heated seats, built-in bidet function, isn't a fluke. It's the natural endpoint of a culture that already treated bathing and washing as near ritual. Why restroom? The going theory, and word historians do hedge on this, traces back to the turn of the 20th century. American hotels, department stores, and theaters wanted to project class. So they built actual lounges, couches, mirrors, a spot to sit down and compose yourself. Some of these really were called resting rooms. Eventually, the toilets got folded into these lounge spaces. Public buildings often included ladies' and gentlemen's resting rooms where people could freshen up. But Victorian sensibilities treated the word toilet like a curse word at Sunday dinner. So people leaned on the socially safer word already sitting right there. The modern bidet, the Japanese washlet. Heated seats, oscillating spray, warm air drying that feels like a tiny personal weather system. How fancy can we make a bathroom break? From a hole in the ground to a heated throne with a remote. So whether you call it a restroom, a washroom, a loo, or the throne room, the goal has always been the same across every culture on Earth. Don't be gross about it. Smash that like button, subscribe to StickPunk, and stay clean, folks.